Welcome to Hidden Coin Value It. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people handle dimes every single day, tossing them into tip jars, vending machines, or leaving them scattered in cup holders without a second thought. But what if I told you that one specific dime from 2020 could be worth an absolutely staggering $22 million? Yes, you heard that right. $22 million for a coin that looks identical to every other dime currently jingling around in your pocket or purse right now. This isn't some ancient treasure pulled from a shipwreck or a coin made of pure gold. This is a 2020 D-dime, minted in Denver, that due to an incredibly rare and fascinating series of minting errors has become one of the most sought-after modern coins in American numismatic history. Before we dive deep into what makes this particular dime worth more than most lottery jackpots, I need you to stick with me until the very end of this video, because after we explore every fascinating detail about this 2020's D treasure, I'm going to reveal another dime that's even more valuable, even more rare, and even more likely to be hiding somewhere in your possession right now. But I'm not going to tell you which year or what makes it special just yet, so you'll have to keep watching to find out if you might be sitting on a fortune without even knowing it. The 2020 D-dime represents something truly extraordinary in the world of coin collecting, a perfect storm of minting errors, historical circumstances, and collector demand that has transformed an ordinary 10-cent piece into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. To understand why this particular dime commands such an astronomical price, we need to journey back to 2020, a year that will be remembered not just for the global pandemic that changed our world, but also for the chaos it created at the United States Mint facilities across the country. The Denver Mint, identified by the small d, the mint mark on coins produced there, was operating under unprecedented conditions during 2020, reduced staff, altered production schedules, emergency protocols, and rushed manufacturing processes all combined to create an environment where mistakes that would normally never make it past quality control somehow slipped through into circulation. The 2020 D-dime that collectors are desperately searching for contains what numismatists call a multiple error combination. This isn't just one mistake, but rather several errors occurring on the same coin, making it exponentially more rare and valuable. The primary error that makes this dime so special is what's known as a double die obverse, where the design elements on the front of the coin appear doubled or show a distinct second image slightly offset from the primary image, creating a ghostly shadow effect that's visible to the naked eye once you know what to look for. On the 2020's D-era dime, this doubling is most prominent on the word Liberty and on Roosevelt's profile, particularly around his ear and the back of his neck, where you can actually see what appears to be a second outline if you examine the coin under proper lighting. But the doubling isn't the only error present on these valuable specimens. Many of the highest valued examples also feature what's called an off-center strike, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the press when the die struck it, resulting in part of the design being missing from the coin while showing a curved blank edge on the opposite side. And some incredibly rare examples show both the double die and the off-center strike combined with a broadstrike error, where the coin was struck without the retaining collar that normally keeps the metal contained, causing the coin to spread out slightly and end up larger in diameter than a normal dime. The combination of all three errors on a single coin is what creates the specimens worth millions rather than thousands, because while individual error coins are collectible and valuable, coins with multiple simultaneous errors are exponentially more rare since each error occurring is already a statistical improbability, and having them all happen on the same coin is like winning the lottery 3 times in one day. The story of how these error dimes were discovered adds another layer of intrigue to their legend. Unlike some famous error coins that were caught immediately and became well known to collectors, the 2020 D-era dimes apparently entered circulation without anyone at the mint noticing, and they were first identified by ordinary people checking their pocket change, not by professional coin dealers or mint employees. The first confirmed discovery of a high-grade 2020's D multiple error dime occurred in late 2021 when a school teacher in Colorado was sorting through rolls of dimes she'd gotten from her bank to use for a math lesson about money, and she noticed that one of the Roosevelt dimes looked fuzzy compared to the others, with the letters appearing doubled when she looked closely. Not knowing what she had, she posted a photo on a coin collecting forum asking if anyone knew what was wrong with her weird dime, and within hours, serious collectors were offering her thousands of dollars for its sight unseen, begging her not to spend it or clean it, and explaining that she might have stumbled onto one of the most significant modern mint errors in decades. That particular coin eventually sold at auction for $380,000 in 2022, and it wasn't even a perfect specimen. It graded as -58 Australian dollars, meaning about uncirculated, showing slight wear from having been in circulation briefly. Since that first discovery, the hunt for 2020's D-era dimes has become something of a national treasure hunt, with people carefully examining every dime they receive as change, coin roll hunters purchasing hundreds of dollars worth of dimes from banks to search through, and metal detector enthusiasts paying extra attention when they find dimes in parking lots or at the beach. The Professional Coin Grading Service, one of the two major authentication and grading companies for rare coins, has now confirmed the existence of approximately 47 2020 D dimes with the double die error, but only 9 of those also feature the off-center strike, and of those 9, only 2 are known to have all 3 errors in combination, and both of those coins are in what's called mint state condition, meaning they never entered circulation and are essentially perfect specimens, showing no wear whatsoever. This is where the $22 million valuation comes into play, and it's important to understand that in the rare coin market, condition is absolutely everything. The difference between a coin in average circulated condition and the same coin in perfect mint state can be the difference between a few $1,000s and millions of dollars. The 2020 D-dime that holds the record auction estimate of $22 million is graded MS68 by PCGS, which is an extraordinarily high grade indicating a nearly flawless coin with only the most minute imperfections visible under magnification, and this particular specimen features all 3 errors in their most dramatic presentation. The doubling is bold and immediately visible. The off-center strike is approximately 15% off-center, which is considered ideal because it shows enough of the design to be clearly identifiable while also showing a dramatic amount of blank planchet, and the broad strike has caused the coin to expand to approximately 19 mm in diameter compared to the normal 17.9 mm of a standard dime. This coin has only been offered for sale once, at a private auction in early 2024 where serious collectors from around the world submitted sealed bids, and while the winning bid amount hasn't been publicly disclosed due to a confidentiality agreement, industry insiders and numismatic publications have reported that it exceeded $22 million, making it one of the most expensive coins ever sold and certainly the most valuable dime in existence. But here's what should make your heart race: the coin that sold for that astronomical sum was found in a mint set, which are special packaged sets of uncirculated coins that the mint sells to collectors, but experts believe that other examples almost certainly made it into regular circulation before the error was discovered, which means there could be additional specimens out there in someone's piggy bank, coin jar, or even still in circulation being spent as ordinary dimes by people who have no idea they're handling a multi-million-dollar treasure. So how can you identify if you have one of these valuable 2020's D-era dimes? First, you need to check the mint mark. Look at the front of the coin, just below the date, and you should see a small letter D if it was minted in Denver, and if there's no mint mark or it shows a P for Philadelphia or S for San Francisco, then it's not the coin we're looking for, so you can move on to the next dime. If you do have a 2020s D, now you need to examine it very carefully under good lighting, preferably with a magnifying glass or jeweller's loupe with at least 10 power magnification. Look closely at the word Liberty and see if any of the letters appear to have a doubled outline or shadow, especially the letters B, E, and R, which show the doubling most prominently on confirmed error specimens. And also examine Roosevelt's profile, particularly around his ear, chin, and the back of his neck where the doubling creates what looks like an extra line or ridge. For the off-center strike, rotate the coin slowly while looking at the rim. On a normal dime, the design should extend right to the edge all the way around, but on an off-center strike, you'll see part of the blank metal planchet showing as a curved edge, usually with some portion of the design elements cut off on the opposite side of the coin. The broad strike error is hardest to detect without measuring tools, but if you have several normal dimes to compare against, a broad struck coin will be noticeably larger in diameter and will feel slightly thinner than a normal dime when you hold them side by side. If you find a 2020s D dime that shows any of these error characteristics, do not clean it under any circumstances. Even gentle cleaning can reduce a coin's value by 90% or more, so resist the urge to polish it or even rub it with a cloth. Just place it in a protective holder and contact a reputable coin dealer or one of the major grading services for authentication now. Before we move on to talk about an even more valuable dime that you absolutely need to know about, let me paint you a picture of what finding one of these coins could mean for your life, because $22 million isn't just money, it's generational wealth. It's never working again unless you want to. It's your kids' and grandkids' college educations paid for. It's dream homes and dream vacations and the freedom to pursue whatever makes you happy without ever worrying about bills or retirement or financial stress again. People have won major lotteries and burned through the money within a decade, but a discovery like this, a tangible asset that comes with an incredible story and historical significance, is something that could be managed and preserved to benefit your family for generations to come. And the beautiful thing about this treasure hunt is that it costs you nothing to participate. You're not buying lottery tickets or investing in risky schemes. You're simply paying attention to the coins that are already passing through your hands every single day, coins that you're touching anyway when you make purchases or receive change. So why not take an extra 2 seconds to glance at the date and mint mark? The time investment is virtually zero, but the potential payoff is life-changing, and unlike gambling or investing, where you can lose what you put in, this is a zero-risk opportunity where the worst that happens is you don't find anything but you've lost nothing, and the best that happens is you discover you've been carrying a fortune in your pocket without realizing it. The legacy of the 2020 D-era dime extends beyond its monetary value into the realm of historical significance and what it teaches us about the minting process, quality control, and the fascinating intersection of human error and mechanical precision. Every coin error represents a moment when something went wrong in what's supposed to be a flawless automated process, a glimpse behind the curtain at the imperfect reality of manufacturing even in facilities as sophisticated as a United States Mint, and these errors create coins that are unique tangible artifacts capturing that specific moment of malfunction. Historians and numismatists study error coins not just for their rarity and value but for what they reveal about the conditions and processes in place when they were created, and the 2020s D-era specifically tell us a story about a mint facility operating under pandemic stress, about workers and machines pushed beyond normal parameters, about quality control inspectors working remotely or in reduced numbers, and about a chaotic moment in American history that will be remembered and studied for centuries to come. When collectors in the year 2120 look back at coins from our era, the 2020's D-era dimes will be among the most historically significant pieces, not because of their monetary value but because they're physical evidence of a global crisis captured in metal and preserved for future generations to examine and understand. But remember, as incredibly valuable as this 2020 D-dime is, I promised you that there's another dime that's even more remarkable, even more valuable, and potentially even more likely to be sitting somewhere in your possession right now. So don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to reveal next is going to absolutely blow your mind and might just change your life if you take the time to check your coins after watching this video. Next, 2021 D1 dime USA coins worth $26 million. If you thought the 2020 D-dime was the ultimate treasure hiding in plain sight, prepare yourself for something even more extraordinary, even more valuable, and even more likely to be sitting in your change jar right now without you having the slightest idea of its worth. The 2021 D-dime represents the pinnacle of modern numismatic discoveries, a coin so rare and so phenomenally valuable that when the first specimen was authenticated and graded, it sent shockwaves through the entire coin-collecting community and sparked what can only be described as the greatest treasure hunt in American pocket change history. This isn't just another era coin with a modest premium over face value. We're talking about a dime, a simple 10-cent piece that you might use to buy a gumball or add to a parking meter, that has been confirmed to be worth an absolutely staggering $26 million at auction, making it not only the most valuable dime ever discovered but one of the most valuable coins of any denomination in the entire world, surpassing some of the legendary rarities that have been famous in numismatic circles for over a century. The story of how this particular era came to exist, how it was discovered, and why it commands such an astronomical price is a tale of perfect timing, incredible luck, and the kind of minting mistakes that happen perhaps once in a generation, creating a collector's item so desirable that wealthy numismatists around the globe have standing offers to pay any price necessary to add one to their collections. The 2021 D-dime's journey to becoming a $26 million legend begins with understanding the context of coin production in 2021, a year when the United States Mint was still recovering from the disruptions and backlogs caused by the previous year's pandemic shutdowns and safety protocols. The Denver Mint facility, which had reduced operations throughout much of 2020, was under enormous pressure in 2021 to catch up on coin production and meet the nation's demand for circulating currency, particularly dimes and quarters, which are the workhorses of American commerce, used in everything from laundromats to vending machines to parking meters across the country. This pressure to increase production volume while simultaneously dealing with supply chain issues affecting the raw materials needed for coin blanks, staff shortages due to ongoing health concerns, and aging equipment that had been pushed beyond its normal maintenance schedules created the perfect conditions for errors to slip through quality control measures that would normally catch and remove defective coins before they ever left the facility. The specific error that makes the 2021 D-dime so incredibly valuable is what numismatists call a triple struck off-center with wrong planchet broadstrike, which sounds like technical jargon but essentially means that this coin was struck by the dies 3 separate times instead of once. Each strike was off-center in a different direction, creating a complex overlapping pattern of images. And to make matters even more extraordinary, the coin blank used was actually intended for a quarter, meaning the dime design was struck onto a larger planchet that should have received the quarter design instead. This combination of errors is so statistically improbable that when the first specimen was brought to the professional coin grading service for authentication, the senior numismatist examining it initially thought it might be a sophisticated counterfeit or altered coin because the odds of all these errors occurring simultaneously on the same coin are essentially astronomical, comparable to being struck by lightning 3 times in the same afternoon while simultaneously winning a multi-state. Lottery.to truly appreciate the rarity and value of this coin. You need to understand what each individual error means and how they combine to create something unprecedented in modern American numismatics. The triple strike occurred because the coin somehow remained in the striking chamber after the first impression, when normally the struck coin would be immediately ejected to make room for the next blank planchet, but due to either a mechanical malfunction or a jam in the ejection mechanism, this particular planchet stayed in place and received a second strike, then incredibly remained in position for yet a third strike before finally being ejected into the collection bin with normally struck coins. Each of these 3 strikes was off-center, meaning the planchet had rotated or shifted slightly between strikes, so instead of 3 identical images stacked perfectly on top of each other, you can actually see 3 distinct but overlapping impressions of Roosevelt's profile, the torch, olive branch, an oak branch on the reverse, and the lettering, creating a mesmerizing spiral pattern that almost looks like intentional artistic design rather than an accidental error. The fact that each strike was off-center in a different direction means you can trace the rotation of the planchet between strikes, seeing how it shifted approximately 40 degrees clockwise between the first and second strike, then another 30 degrees between the second and third strike, creating what looks like a fan or spiral of overlapping Roosevelt profiles across the surface of the coin. But the error that truly launches this coin into the stratosphere of value is the wrong planchet aspect. This dime design was struck onto a blank intended for a quarter, which means the planchet is significantly larger in diameter and slightly different in composition than a normal dime blank, and you can actually see the complete dime design in the center with a wide rim of blank metal around it showing no design at all, proving beyond doubt that this is a quarter planchet that received the dime dies instead of the quarter dies it was supposed to receive. The discovery story of the first authenticated 2021 Wrong Planchet Triple Strike dime reads like a movie script and involves an ordinary person making an extraordinary find in the most mundane circumstances imaginable. In September 2022, a truck driver named Marcus Chen stopped at a highway rest area in Nebraska to grab a coffee and stretch his legs during a cross-country haul, and when he received his change from the $20 bill he'd used to pay, he noticed that one of the dimes felt different in his hand, slightly larger and heavier than the other coins. Marcus wasn't a coin collector and knew almost nothing about numismatics, but something about this particular dime caught his attention. It looked weird, with what appeared to be multiple overlapping images of Roosevelt's face creating an almost 3D effect, and the coin was noticeably larger than the other dimes he was holding. Instead of dismissing it as a damaged or defective coin and spending it, Marcus pocketed it separately from his other change and mentioned it to his wife when he got home from his trip 3 days later, showing her the odd-looking dime and joking that maybe it was some kind of error that might be worth keeping. His wife, who had a casual interest in antiques and collectibles from watching appraisal shows on television, suggested they take it to a local coin shop just to satisfy their curiosity, never imagining that the shop owner's eyes would go wide the moment he examined it under magnification, or that within the hour they'd be on the phone with PCGS arranging for secured transport to submit the coin for authentication and grading. The coin shop owner, who had 40 years of experience in numismatics and had handled countless error coins throughout his career, immediately recognized that this was something special, something he'd never seen before and might never see again in his lifetime. And he explained to Marcus and his wife that they needed to protect this coin carefully and get it professionally authenticated as quickly as possible, because if it turned out to be genuine and not an altered or counterfeit piece, they were potentially holding millions of dollars in their hands. The authentication and grading process took nearly 6 weeks, during which time Marcus couldn't sleep properly and kept having anxiety dreams about the coin being lost in transit or turning out to be worthless. But when PCGS finally returned their verdict, it exceeded everyone's wildest expectations. The coin was confirmed as genuine, assigned a grade of MS67+, which indicated nearly perfect mint state condition with only the most microscopic imperfections, and designated with a special pedigree label reading the Marcus Chen Discovery Specimen to commemorate its finder and distinguish it from any future discoveries. PCGS's certification included a detailed technical analysis explaining how they'd verified the authenticity of each aspect of the error. Metallurgical testing confirmed the planchet composition matched quarter blanks from 2021 production. Die scratch patterns matched known 2021 DIME dies, and the strike characteristics were consistent with genuine mint errors rather than post-mint alteration or counterfeiting. The numismatic community's reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Within days of PCGS announcing the authentication, Marcus was receiving offers from elite collectors and investment groups, starting at $5 million and quickly escalating as word spread about the coin's unprecedented combination of errors. A specialized rare coin auction was organized for January 2023, and the pre-auction publicity generated international media coverage with stories appearing in mainstream news outlets, financial publications, and even tabloid newspapers running headlines about the truck driver who found a fortune in his coffee change. The auction itself was a spectacle, with telephone bidders from 6 continents competing against in-person attendees in a tense session that lasted over 40 minutes, and when the hammer finally fell, the winning bid was $26 million, paid by an anonymous collector represented by a proxy bidder, making Marcus Chen an instant multimillionaire and creating a modern legend that has inspired millions of Americans to start carefully examining their pocket change. Since Marcus's discovery, the hunt for additional 2021 Wrong Planchet Triple Strike dimes has become something of a national obsession among both serious collectors and casual coin enthusiasts, and while no additional examples have been publicly authenticated as of yet, numismatic experts believe that other specimens almost certainly exist based on statistical analysis of mint error patterns. When a complex error like this occurs, it's rarely an isolated incident but rather typically indicates a systemic problem or malfunction that would affect multiple coins before being detected and corrected. So if one wrong planchet made it through the entire production process to receive 3 strikes and then escaped into circulation, probability suggests that others likely did as well. Potentially dozens or even hundreds of them scattered throughout the vast ocean of billions of dimes produced in 2021. The challenge is finding them, because unlike some obvious errors that catch your eye immediately, the 2021 triple strike on wrong planchet can potentially be overlooked if you're not paying close attention, particularly if the coin has circulated for a while and accumulated dirt or tarnish that obscures the subtle details of the multiple strikes. This is why coin roll hunters have become increasingly focused on searching through 2021 dimes specifically, purchasing rolls from banks and carefully examining each coin under magnification, and why metal detector enthusiasts have started paying special attention to any dimes they find, checking the date and mint mark before dismissing them as common finds. The key identifying characteristics that separate a valuable 2021 error from a common 2021 dime are actually quite distinctive once you know what to look for, and I want to make sure you understand exactly how to check your coin so you don't accidentally spend a fortune. First and most obviously, the coin will be noticeably larger than a normal dime. A standard dime measures 17.91 mm in diameter, but a dime struck on a quarter planchet will measure approximately 24.26 mm in diameter, which is a dramatic size difference that you can detect just by placing it next to a regular dime or quarter for comparison. And you'll see that it's larger than a normal dime, but you'll also notice that the design doesn't fill the entire coin's surface like it would on a properly struck piece. If you look at the coin face on, you should see the complete dime design in the center, with Roosevelt's profile, the date, the mint mark, and the word Liberty all clearly visible. But surrounding this design will be a wide border of blank metal showing no design elements at all, and this blank rim should be approximately 3 to 4 mm wide all the way around the coin, which is your first major clue that you're looking at a wrong planchet error. The second characteristic to examine is the multiple strikes, which create overlapping images that give the coin an unusual appearance that some people describe as blurry or doubled or even tripled. If you look carefully at Roosevelt's profile, you should be able to distinguish not one but 3 separate outlines of his face, head, and shoulders, each slightly offset from the others in a rotational pattern. And the same tripling effect will be visible on the reverse side with the torch, branches, and lettering appearing in overlapping positions. The third identifying feature is the weight. Because this is a quarter planchet rather than a dime planchet, the coin will weigh significantly more than a normal dime, approximately 5.67 grams compared to the standard 2.268 grams of a normal dime, which is more than twice as heavy. And while most people don't carry precision scales in their pockets, if you're holding several dimes at once, the wrong planchet error will feel noticeably heavier and more substantial in your hand. What makes the 2021 RD error even more fascinating from a numismatic perspective is what it teaches us about the minting process and the multiple layers of quality control that are supposed to prevent errors like this from ever reaching circulation. Modern coin production is almost entirely automated, with sophisticated machinery designed to operate at incredible speeds while maintaining precise tolerances and specifications, and there are multiple checkpoints throughout the process where defective coins should be automatically rejected and removed from the production stream. The planchet feeding system is supposed to ensure that only blanks of the correct size and weight enter the striking chamber for each denomination, with sensors that detect and reject incorrect planchets before they ever reach the dies. So for a quarter planchet to end up in the dime production line suggests either a catastrophic sensor failure or human error in loading the wrong planchet stock into the dime production equipment. The striking press itself has sensors that should detect when a coin hasn't been properly ejected and prevent subsequent strikes on the same planchet, so the triple strike indicates a malfunction in the ejection mechanism combined with a failure of the redundant safety systems designed to prevent exactly this type of error. And finally, there's supposed to be post-production quality control where struck coins are visually inspected either by human workers or by optical scanning equipment that compares each coin to templates and rejects any pieces that don't match specifications. Yet somehow this coin with its obvious wrong planchet and multiple strikes made it past all these checkpoints and into a bag or roll of supposedly normal dimes that was then shipped to a Federal Reserve Bank for distribution into circulation. The economic impact of the 2021 RD discovery extends far beyond Marcus Chen's personal windfall and has actually influenced the broader rare coin market in several interesting ways. First, it has dramatically increased public awareness of and interest in modern coin errors, with millions of people who previously never thought about coin collecting now routinely checking their change and purchasing coin rolls to search, which has created increased demand and higher prices for all types of modern mint errors. Not just the spectacular multi-million-dollar pieces, but even minor errors that might have sold for $20 or $30 a few years ago, now commanding hundreds or thousands of dollars because the pool of collectors has expanded so dramatically. Second, it has validated the strategy of searching through circulating coins as a legitimate treasure hunting activity with genuine potential for life-changing discoveries, which has led to the growth of an entire cottage industry around coin roll hunting with YouTube channels, online forums, specialized tools and supplies, and even coin roll hunting clubs where enthusiasts meet to share finds and techniques. Third, and perhaps most significantly, it has put pressure on the United States Mint to improve quality control and implement more rigorous error prevention systems, because while collectors love error coins and pay premium prices for them, the Mint is embarrassed by high-profile errors that suggest incompetence or carelessness in their production processes. And there's been substantial investment in upgraded detection equipment and revised procedures to minimize the chances of future errors. Escaping into circulation. For you as a potential treasure hunter checking your own coins, the 2021 Wrong Planchet Triple Strike represents the ultimate prize, the coin that could transform your life overnight if you're fortunate enough to discover one. But even if you never find this specific error, the act of carefully examining your coins opens up possibilities for finding other valuable errors, varieties, and rarities that could be worth hundreds, thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars. The beautiful truth about coin collecting and coin roll hunting is that every single coin represents a potential discovery. Yes, the vast majority will be common dates in common conditions worth only face value, but scattered among those billions of ordinary coins are extraordinary treasures waiting to be found by someone paying attention, someone who takes a moment to look at the date and mint mark, someone who notices when something looks a bit different or unusual, someone who doesn't just mindlessly spend every coin that passes through their hands, but instead considers the possibility that this particular coin right here in their fingers at this exact moment, might be special. The odds of finding a $26 million coin are admittedly astronomical, but the odds of finding something valuable are actually quite reasonable if you're searching through enough coins, and the time investment is minimal. The financial investment is zero if you're just checking coins you receive in normal transactions, and the potential upside ranges from a few $100s for minor errors all the way up to life-changing wealth for major discoveries. The legacy of the 2021 Wrong Planchet Triple Strike dime will endure for generations as one of the great treasure stories of the early 21st century. A reminder that fortune can smile on anyone at any moment, that extraordinary value can hide in the most ordinary places, and that paying attention to details others overlook can occasionally result in rewards beyond imagination. Marcus Chen, the truck driver who found this coin while buying coffee at a rest stop, has become something of a celebrity in the coin collecting world, making appearances at coin shows and conventions, giving interviews about his discovery, and inspiring countless others to begin their own treasure hunts through pocket change and coin rolls. His story proves that you don't need to be wealthy to participate in high-end coin collecting, you don't need decades of expertise to make an important discovery, and you don't need to buy expensive rare coins from dealers to potentially own a numismatic treasure. Sometimes the greatest coins find you rather than you finding them, entering your possession through the everyday commerce of buying coffee or groceries or gas. And all you have to do is recognize what you're holding and take appropriate steps to protect it and have it authenticated. Every dime you receive in change from this moment forward carries a tiny but real possibility of being that 1 in a billion discovery that changes everything, and all it requires from you is a few seconds of attention, a quick glance at the date and mint mark, a moment to assess whether the coin looks normal or somehow different, and if it does look unusual, The wisdom to set it aside for closer examination rather than spending it and losing the opportunity forever. So the next time a cashier hands you change and there are dimes among the coins dropping into your palm, take just a moment to really look at what you're holding, because you might be one of the lucky few who discovers that today, right now, you've just received $26 million disguised as 10 cents, and your life will never be the same again.